Search Assistant found a window and door business that you can buy with as little as $75,000 down and net $231,000 per year after making your loan payments. This assumes you use a 10-year, 11.5% interest, 2.5% down SBA loan to buy this $3 million business that's advertising $700,000 in annual cash flow. Look at this business, it's doing $2.7 million in annual revenue, and it's been in business since 2018. Which, looking at that, I feel like that's a pretty short period of time, and often I would consider that somewhat of a red flag. Why are you selling this early in the life cycle of the business? But they do list their reason for selling on this business for health reasons. So that's the one reason that sometimes you can overlook a shorter time horizon since when the business was founded and when they're looking to sell it. And one thing that's interesting about this sale is that it includes $192,000 of inventory, about $200,000 of equipment, and $573,000 in accounts receivable, which is typically unusual in the small business space to include all of those things. So the equipment is pretty standard. Every deal should come with all the equipment and assets that it needs to run the business. Inventory is usually added to the purchase price. So in this instance, having it already included is nice. One thing you want to make sure though is that in the purchase agreement, it lays out how much inventory needs to be included in the sale. So you want to make sure that they don't run it down ahead of the sale. If you're supposed to have $200,000 of inventory, you don't want to take over with $10,000 sitting on the shelves. But the big win here is including that $573,000 in accounts receivable. Essentially, that's cash that's going to come into the business within the first few months of operations that don't have a direct expense tied to them because the expenses have already likely been paid that are tied to those accounts receivable. So if they listed this business in a more traditional way where they didn't include inventory in the price and they did not include working capital, this business is equivalent to one that you'd usually see listed at $2.2 million. Now they have 7 employees, but we really don't know what role the current owner is fulfilling. We know they probably are involved if they do need to sell, like I said, for health reasons. And they operate out of a pretty large facility. They've got 45,000 square feet, but at least they only pay $6,500 a month in rent. One thing that we've seen that's killed some deals is businesses that don't need a particularly special location that are paying like big rent numbers or own really expensive facilities. This one seems to be right for the business. But looking at this, the price, it feels a little bit high to me. It's really going to depend on how much the owner is doing, on whether it's a good deal or not. Say if this was 100% absentee, maybe it's okay. If you're going to go in and work as an owner operator, putting $3 million at risk to make $231,000 a year probably doesn't make sense. And even on the lending side, your debt service coverage ratio is going to be pretty tight on this deal. Now, the window business does have a nice tailwind that there are, I believe it's a 30% tax credit for replacing your windows with more energy efficient windows. So as more people learn about that, I think you're going to see a pretty strong tailwind for these types of businesses. So it's something that now is a good time to buy. So check out our Search Assistant if you want to find more like this, or reach out if you want to buy a business together.